Do not have to believe in ghosts to have a good time on the ghost tour. But it helps, you know. Now as we go around town here, we're going to be in a big group. The people are want to go past us, especially the people that work here. Just let them zip on through. A lot of times they bring in food from here to there. Let them go by. When we're out on the streets and we're not stopped on a sidewalk and people are trying to get around us, please lead them on through. Okay. Now, when we stop in front of a house, please resist the urge to lean against a vehicle that is not yours. The other right. Okay. I. Your name. Have a great time on the ghost tour. I cannot complain about my tired, achy feet. To laugh at all of Mike's goofy jokes.
To try to laugh at
tell everyone I know from here on out the ghost tour is the best thing to do in Key West.
What you said.
The ghost tour was created by David Sloan. Now, David loved ghost stories ever since he was a kid. And every time he went to a different city, if there was a ghost tour in that city, he was on it. He loved it. He came here to Key West and there was no ghost tour. So he created one. This is the original ghost tour. Now there's 5 or something. But this is the best one. This is the original. Now David, since there wasn't any ghost story, he had to go around and find the ghost stories. He had to ask and interview a lot of people. Now, did you know this has been a city for almost 200 years? A lot of people have died. As a result, a lot of ghost stories. So he went about, talked to the locals, got their stories. These are all local stories about local people and events and the history, and I'll fill you in on that as we go along. But you know, as soon as David got known as the author of The Ghost of Key West and the creator of the Ghost Tour, people came out of the woodwork to tell him ghost stories. You know, so sequel. That happened really quickly after. So, now as we go outside, keep a close eye on the things that you see. Because something might look one way one moment and then suddenly something strange might happen. Ooh, because you're in strange Key West, you know? Have you seen anything strange lately? Besides me? I mean, out there on the... Have you seen what's strange in Key West? The chickens? Okay, yeah. You're cute, but do you have chickens running around in your town?
Yeah, but they drive police cars.
What's the weirdest thing you saw today? 6-toed cats. Yeah, that's really weird. Harmony. All right. Before we go outside, is anybody here staying in the La Concha Hotel?
I wish. What room is it that's haunted?
Oh, which one is it? That's the question.
Which one isn't it?
This is a really... Has anybody seen the movie The Shining?
Not yet.
Another beautiful old hotel like this one. Yeah.
I like him.
If you go walking around upstairs, I wouldn't go alone. Strange things have been known to happen right in this very hotel. Doors open by themselves. He's back in.
You know what?
Walking in front of the
blame it on
would not be
150
good.
people. You know,
Yeah.
say, hey, that was there. Pushing you.
Can we jaywalk?
No. No, we're waiting. We're waiting. 20, you shoot 25. You only shoot 25.
I'm so glad I got that on camera.
Imagine we'll get a picture.
His name is Mike. He does the ghost tours.
Oh,
Harmony, you called Mike out for
I did. For being a bum. Yes. Come on.
Okay, I got the cookies now. Yes, I know, but you can't stop, so come on. I can, and I want to, and I'm going to. You can. Because those people will come and arrest you. And they'll come and get me out.
Go to the store.
One 1, 2, 3.
That was me.
I got it. They were just helping my Chicky here. Come on, Chicky. That's all good. Keeping up.
That building is the post office. It's designed to look like an old Civil War fort. There's the ruins of 3 Civil War forts on the island. Fort Zachary Taylor over there. West Martello, that's in the central by Higgs Beach. And way out by the airport is East Martello. There were Civil War soldiers on the island. Guess what color their uniforms were? Blue, yeah. It was a Union stronghold during the war. This is the only southern city that remained with the Union throughout the entire war. This is the only place you had to go north to join the South. So the Civil War soldiers were here, but not a battle was fought. A number of Civil War soldiers did die, not by the bullet or by cannonball, but by a little mosquito, yellow fever. In fact, yellow fever would affect your liver and make your skin turn yellow, hence the name. And then your eyeballs would start to bleed. And then the inside of your mouth would start to bleed. And then your stomach would bleed so badly, eventually you'd vomit up the blood, and at that point it would appear black. If you survived this, you were immune to yellow fever for the rest of your life. Now, after they abolished slavery, the U.S. Navy here captured 3 ships full of people that were kidnapped in Africa, and they were on their way to be sold as slaves down in Cuba, which was basically a death sentence for them. You know that the life expectancy of a slave down in Cuba working on the sugar cane fields was only 5 years. They were only going to last about 5 years in that slavery. They were released here in Key West, and arrangements were made for them to be taken back to Africa from Key West, doing that way back then. But about 300 of those people died here in Key West because of the horrible conditions they had to suffer on the way over here. They were stuffed into these cargo bays of these ships. They had one person laying next to another, and they were all chained together. And there was another layer of people on top of those people, like on a bunk bed above them. And then sometimes a third layer of people. And of course, there was no regular bathroom breaks, so you can imagine the filth and disgusting things dripping down, and the smell and the disease, and they barely fed them enough to keep them alive. So about 300 of those folks died, and they were buried over in Higgs Beach. There's a big memorial for them out there. Now, most of the survivors were transported back to Africa, but a few of them stayed here, and they say those are the people that introduced voodoo to the island. And there's evidence of voodoo here to this day. Not long ago, a Navy officer was walking right on that sidewalk there, and right up behind that tree, he spotted a brown paper bag with something bloody in it. He reported it to the police. They said it was a bloody cow tongue. It had been sliced down the middle, and inside of it were some flowers, some corn, some coins, and a list of names. It was put back together and tied up with a gold ribbon and placed right behind that tree. Now, some people say there was some sort of a curse on the people whose names was inside that tongue. Some people say it was actually a blessing. They can't agree on that. But they do agree on the location. It was placed over there due to the significance of the crosswalk and that the high volume of traffic that goes past that corner every single day. There's a post office here. The people walking past there or driving past were supposed to carry that blessing or that curse with them all over the island. We're going to continue in that direction. Watch where you step.
1, 2, 3.
You're doomed!
1, 2, 3.
You're doomed!
It was a great
1, 2, 3.
You're doomed!
I can imagine stuff like that. People drunk, people singing Monster Mash while they're going to past loved ones in the cemetery. They put an end to that.
My brother wouldn't care.
Well, yeah. with the neighbors. You know, people live in that neighborhood trying to sleep at night. Okay, this is a great photo. This was sent to us by somebody that took the tour. I like this photo because you can see the tour guide and somebody's head in the foreground, and you can see that they're looking up at this house, and over there and up above the balcony there, there's a huge light orb floating right up there. They're looking right at it. Pass this around. This is a great house to take pictures of. A lot of people capture light orbs floating around right up there. Anything you want, but just take little bites of it. Well, she was upstairs eating a candy bar while she was reading in bed, and every once in a while she'd take a little nibble of that candy bar, and then she'd place it right on the end table, right next to her. And then every once in a while she'd reach over and take another little bite of that candy bar, and then go back to reading. And then she'd reach over, take another little bite of the candy bar, and at one point she reached over and it had disappeared. She couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't under the pillow or under the stand or anything, so she went back downstairs, got another candy bar, came back upstairs, and right there on the end table, what did she find?
The candy bar.
The candy bar that disappeared had suddenly reappeared right where she left it. So if you stay here, keep an eye on your chocolate, or the ghost of Captain Cosgrove will come and take it, and then feel bad to put it back again. Yes. Let's continue this direction. So stop at that house, that's one down there.
Yeah, totally.
We're gonna cross the street here. You might want to stay. Drunk drivers. Always be careful of drunk drivers in this town. If you're crossing the street, people watch out. Did you know that the first international flight went from right here in Key West to Cuba in 1913? And did you know that one trip started Pan American World Airways right here in 1927? And this building was the office. The actress Kelly McGillis bought this place, and she was in Top Gun with Tom Cruise. She kept the airplane theme, and there's still to this day. Let's cross the street right over here. Right here. Now these are the presidential gates of Key West right here. They only open up these gates when a president stays here. Harry Truman's little White House, they call it, right through there and around the corner. This was the old this old Navy base, and the Commandant's house was used to house dignitaries. They had Thomas Edison stayed there during World War I to help the Navy develop depth charges for the Navy. And of course, President Harry Truman, when he vacationed during his presidency, he came here to Key West for the nice weather and the 1, 2, 3. A number of not only was Truman here, but a number of other presidents stayed here, including Eisenhower, Kennedy, Carter, and Clinton. Let's continue this direction. They hung like 17 pirates from that thing. If you look in the back left corner, you can see the big tree poking out the top. That's it. It's inside the bar now. It used to be in the courtyard. They built the roof around it, so now it's inside the bar. They hung all kinds of pirates and a bunch of other Key West scoundrels, including who I like to call the Lizzie Borden of Key West. She murdered her husband and her kid by chopping them to pieces. And when the lynch mob got a hold of her, they yanked her out of bed. She was bit and scratched and screamed all the way down here. They tied a rope around her neck, hung her from that tree. They kicked a bar stool out from under her. Down she went, but the rope didn't break her neck. She strangled to death. She lost oxygen and she started turning blue. They say she turned the same color blue as her nightgown. They call her the Blue Lady. She's the most famous ghost in that bar right there. Lots of people have seen her.
including Captain Tony himself, who died just a couple of months ago at the age of 92.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he said, I saw her all the time. She even walked right through me once. Well, Captain Tony drank a lot. But people say the most haunted spot in that building is the women's room for some reason. Lots of reports of women saying they went in there and they hear somebody saying, "Get out!" I assume that somebody has to pee real bad. You know? But there's lots of reports. It's not coming from anybody in the living. The other weird thing about this place, this little part that is used as it was used as a morgue at one point. There's pool tables in this room, but on the floor, they're embedded in the floor is a grave marker that says Elvira. They opened up the cistern and they found a skeleton down in the cistern. Elvira, perhaps. They dug around in the backyard, excavating back there, and they found a number of other skeletons right behind the place. Well, it was a morgue at one point, and I suppose if somebody didn't have the money to pay for their grave in the cemetery, or people didn't know who they were, they just dug a hole in the backyard, kicked them in, and that was that. With the old inside the pool room, around Elvira's grave, they built a little wall. The weird thing is, inside the wall, they've embedded a bunch of bottles filled with holy water all the way around. I don't know if that's to keep something out or to keep something in, but it's worth it to go in there to see the old hanging tree, Elvira's grave, and a creepy wall with the holy water. Ooh, I'd go during the day, though. It's less creepy. Let's continue this direction right there.